everyone, welcome to another episode of the Stitches and Scribbles podcast. Today I've got lots of stuff to show you, some finished objects, some whips, and another yarn haul from the massive yarn haul that I've been saving up and doing in sections. Let's start with our finished objects. First one should look familiar because I've been working on it forever. Don't know why it took me so long, but it is this knit scrap yarn shawl. It's a very deep elongated triangle shawl with yarn over increases down the middle as well as on the edges. I just took some scrap yarn in tones of beige, blue, and yellow along with this variegated yarn that's in the middle to make this beautiful scrap shawl. I don't know why this one took me so long to make, other than I think part of the reason why I was hesitant to work on it was because I still use really cheap circular needles. I probably need to invest in some metal ones that have a better cord, but the ones I have are wooden with like plastic tubing to connect the needles, so the stitches don't really move by themselves. They get like stuck on the plastic tubing, so I have to scrunch the whole thing over every time I'm starting a new row or even halfway through the row once it gets really long. So I think that that's partially why I was not working on it as much as I should and why it took me so long. So maybe that's a sign that I need to invest in some better quality knitting needles. This was a super easy pattern. Actually, there was no pattern. I just made it up and did those increases along the edge and along the center spine. This is one of the first projects where I really used stitch markers to like mark off where I needed to do the center spine increases so that I didn't just go on autopilot and knit the whole thing. And those were really helpful to use. I should start making progress keepers on my projects because some of them, like this one, take me so long that it would be helpful to see how much progress I've made in a week, if that makes sense. Since I do these weekly podcasts, I could just move all the progress keepers after every time I do a podcast so that I can see how much I get done in a week. But that's on the long-term to-do list. Next project, so finishing one scrap shawl in a week wasn't enough. I decided I had to make another one. So I have this one, also made with leftover yarn. This shawl is entirely in linen stitch, so it's single crochet, chain one, repeating, and then on the next row you do your single crochets in the chain one spaces. I started with choosing this variegated yarn and then picked colors that went with it. So I stuck with kind of dusty greens, pinks, purples, and blues with that white in between each stripe. I think this one turned out really pretty. It's very stretchy because of that linen stitch, which kind of makes it have the bump at the top that some shawls do, but it's not too bad. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. It'll probably go in my pile of shawls to eventually be either donated or given to the prayer shawl group at church. This is a pretty small one because I ran out of yarn colors. You can actually, if you look really closely, I used two different whites. One of them is a little bit more cream toned than the other one, but it's not super noticeable, so I chose not to worry about it. I actually, as you can tell because I have a different background, I reorganized all of my craft supplies over the last week. So I have kind of a precarious situation with the number of shelves I have. This is actually a Target cube shelf, and then I have one very tall vintage shelf behind me and another old vintage bookshelf on top of my Target cubes to organize all of my yarn. So that meant I needed a different place for my yarn scrap storage because it used to go in a bin on my Target cube organizer and it didn't fit anymore and I had too many scraps. So I actually used some clear plastic drawers from my classroom that are off to that side where you can't see them, and I sorted all my scraps by color, so that makes it really easy to go in and pick like a color palette for a scrap shawl because I can see everything and the bins are clear and I know that each bin has kind of similar colors grouped together. I have one bin for solid neutrals, one bin for all variegated yarns, one for yellow, orange, red, pink, because I don't use those colors very often, so there's not a lot of them, one just for greens and teals, and one for blues and purples, because I use green and blue probably the most out of any actual colors, so I have the most scraps in there. But that definitely made it a lot easier to pick colors for the scrap shawl that I just did, because I went into the variegated section and just picked a variegated and then picked colors that matched it. So that's my new system. The third finished object that I have to show you is the Tunisian shawl that I've been working on for a couple of weeks for a friend, and I finally finished it. Would help if I held it the right way. It is a very big drapey triangle shawl, slightly asymmetric, with those lace stitches making diagonal stripes in it. This one will eventually be a paid-for pattern on Etsy. I ran into a little bit of a roadblock with Etsy where I have to figure out some things with my bank first. I got married in the last year and a half. It was October of 2019. Etsy didn't like that my name on my account didn't match the name on the bank account I wanted to set up for direct deposit. So I have to wait until my name is officially changed with my bank before I can start posting on Etsy, but I just did the last paperwork for that. So hopefully I can start selling my patterns soon, although this one probably wouldn't come out until like January or February with the track I have set up for releasing patterns. But hopefully you can expect one to come out in like September. That's the one that I posted on my Instagram about needing pattern testers for. And then I'm going to do a Christmas themed pattern that I think you've already seen in an old podcast in like November, so that you have time to make it before Christmas season. So that's the plan for patterns. But I'm really excited about that Tunisian one, because Tunisian crochet is something that I picked up during quarantine, like probably April of 2020, and was really excited about it. And that was like the thing I spent the most time on learning during quarantine. That was my like quarantine activity, because everybody had one of those. I already knew how to knit and crochet, but learning Tunisian crochet was really fun and kind of a different challenge when I was looking for something different to do with my crafting. So happy that it can become a pattern for other people to use, hopefully soon. Let's jump into whips. I did start another scrap shawl, so I'll show you what it looks like so far and then the other scraps I'm using. I decided to go for pinks and reds, so I have a very dark magenta, a variegated like pink and orange, and now I'm into a very bright red. For this shawl I also have a variegated yarn that's shades of red and black, and I have a solid black. All of these are very thin yarns, like weights 1 I think for all of them, so this is definitely going to be a different shawl than the one you just saw that had 3 and 4 weight, actually more like 4 to 5 weight yarns in it, but it's the same stitch, the linen stitch again. So those same little single crochet, chain 1, single crochet patterns. So I'm excited to see how that one turns out. I like the thinner weight yarns now for shawls and stuff. I used to hate thin weight yarn because it would take forever to make anything, but now I seem to be really gravitating towards it. The next one I have to show you is actually a gift for somebody, and it is for my sister-in-law for Christmas, so if you are watching this, please look away for the next 2 minutes so that it's not spoiled, although you kind of already know what it is. I said in a previous podcast that my sister-in-law went with me to the Hobby Lobby clearance sale in Missouri, and because she drove me there and was willing to go with me, I let her pick out yarn for something for herself that I would make for her. So this is the beginning of that.
It is going to be a lace rectangle shawl. I'm about probably a quarter to a third of the way through it right now. And I'm using the peacock fan stitch. I've seen this stitch in a couple different places, both on Pinterest and from a couple different books, but it's alternating 9 treble crochets with a single crochet, and then on the second row you put a single crochet in the top of the 9 treble crochets and then 2 treble crochets in the previous single crochet so that all of the fans line up. This is being made in the Must Be Merino yarn from Hobby Lobby in the color black. It's a Yarn Bee brand. Looks like this. I actually probably will have to go get more of it because I only got 3 and then realized that the yardage is a lot lower than what I thought it was. So I will definitely have to go back to Hobby Lobby to get some extra skeins of that in order to be able to finish the project, especially because I think she wanted fringe on it. The last whip that I currently have is another Tunisian crochet shawl. I'm practicing the honeycomb stitches again just to make sure that everything is in order the way that I want it, but I'm not doing the lace rows like I did on the gray shawl I just showed you. This is in a very lightweight yarn, so those honeycomb stitches look really cool and the fabric is very drapey. This is in the Yarn Bee Rainbow Rhapsody in the color Ivy League. It looks like this. It was from the Hobby Lobby clearance sale. Very thin yarn. This is definitely a weight 1, although it doesn't actually say that on here. That's interesting, but very, very thin, lightweight yarn, and I love these colors with the grays and the teals. Alright, that is it for whips and finished objects, so I can dive into my yarn haul, which is from Joann's today. I, for the longest time, didn't think that Joann's had yarn. When I was a lot younger, someone, like, when I say younger, I mean like I was 10, somebody told me that Joann's was just for fabric and sewing and that they didn't have anything else. So I never thought to go to a Joann's for yarn until I saw people going to Joann's for yarn on TikTok. So it took me how old was I when I was 10? I would have been in 4th grade, so it was 2004. So it took me like 15 years to figure out that Joann's does in fact have yarn and has all of the yarn I really like because I love Lion Brand Mandala, and you can't usually find that, at least around me, at Michael's, and you definitely can't find it at Hobby Lobby. So going to Joann's for yarn just increased my yarn addiction even more. You can see all of the yarn behind me that is clearly Lion Brand Mandala. I really, really like those. So there's a lot of Lion Brand Mandala in this yarn haul because it was on sale when I went, and I believe still is. It might have ended already, but it was on sale like close to half off for Lion Brand for a really long time at my Joann's. So this is actually several trips that just got combined into one. But I'll show you what I got. First one I got is a Lion Brand Mandala in the color Griffin. This has some dark magenta, some beige, a little bit of gray, light blue, and deep shades of purple and navy. Love this color. It reminds me of like berries, but it's a very fall berry color. I usually don't like pinks and purples, but because this is so muted and really deep tones with the contrasting blue, I actually really like this one. And I'm excited to use it. All of the mandala yarns are 590 yards, and they are a lightweight 3 and 100% acrylic. These ones do have the new label on them as well. They used to look a lot different. So this is what the new label looks like if you haven't seen it yet. Really excited to use the color Griffin. Next one I got is the color Serpent, also Lion Brand Mandala. This one has the old label on it. This one's got grays, beige, white, and shades of yellow. Thought this was a really unique color. I've been gravitating towards yellow a little bit more lately. I have a couple yellow shirts that I recently purchased, so the yellow was sticking out to me. I think also I grabbed a bunch of colors that I've never used before from Lion Brand just because they were on sale. So, thought this one was pretty too. This would make a really unique baby blanket color if you were looking to make a different baby blanket. So the yellows and grays, maybe if somebody had like a Noah's Ark or a zoo theme for their nursery, this could be a cute color since it's got those browns and grays but also the bright yellow. Could be interesting. The next color in mandala I got is called Valkyrie. This one is dusty purples, yellow, and turquoise. Thought this was pretty. This color would definitely make a very cute and unique baby blanket with those brighter colors in it. Yeah, nothing else to say about this one. I really like the bright pops of colors with the dusty colors in between. I think this is the last mandala in there. This is the color Pegasus, so lavender, coral, white, and a dark teal. Some of those colors have like the dusty tones in them too. Thought this one was really pretty with the bright coral in it. All of these that I bought will probably be used for practicing shawl patterns. I kind of just grab cakes for that now, especially when they're on sale. So this will probably be turned into a practice shawl. I really liked the Pegasus colorway with that really dark teal because that's one of my favorite colors. Alright, let's look at the big ones first. I got 3 of these. Karen 1 pound in the color medium gray mix. Ooh, this is another Christmas present one. So, I don't think any of my other relatives watch this, and I definitely don't think my in-laws watch my videos, but if you do, this is your chance to look away. I have been tasked with making a sweater for my father-in-law for Christmas, so I got some of the really big, durable acrylic yarn that's still pretty soft, especially once you wash it, and I haven't firmly settled on a pattern yet. I did purchase one off of Etsy, that I'm probably going to use that's like a shawl color. I noticed when I was looking for this yarn, it's really hard to find crochet patterns for men in stores now. Like, I looked through all the books, I looked through all the patterns, and they didn't have any men's patterns anywhere. Like, I thought it would be really easy to find a simple men's cardigan, but it wasn't. So I ended up having to look online. So yeah, I got 3 of those. That should be enough yardage, and if not, Joann's always has that yarn, so I can always go back. Gotta dig through the bag a little bit. There's the last Karen 1 pound. Okay, so the other thing that was on sale the last time I went was the Moroccan Nights yarn. I think because maybe it's done and being discontinued. So I got quite a few of those also for practice shawls. The first one that I got is the color Sultan, and I got 3 of those. It's lots of burgundies, beige, and gray, it looks like. I don't think there are any other colors in there, and it has like a coppery glitter running through it. Each of these are 273 yards. They're lightweight 3. Yeah, I just thought those colors were really gorgeous and rich, and this was a nice, like, deeper colorway versus the, like, pastels that I got from the mandalas. So, excited to use those. I also got it in, what's the name of this colorway? The color Scarab. So this one is shades of dusty blue, beige, and cream. And the sparkle running through it is more of a like grayish blue color. Thought those were really pretty too. I might have to go back to Joann's and see if this is still there, because I really liked this yarn and I had never seen it before, and now it looks like it's going to be gone. The last one that I got is the color Wishes. This one is coral, lavender, light green, and the glitter in it is kind of a turquoisey bluish green. Thought that was really pretty, and this would make a really excellent shawl. That's it for yarn haul. Oh, I did get beads from Joann's. That's what that sound is from the bag. I got some beads to make progress keepers. Oh, and those are finding all sorts of things in this giant Joann's bag that I forgot I purchased. These are the buttons I purchased for that cardigan that I'm making. I think the pattern that I got from Etsy only required 6, but they came in packs of 4, so I have 8. And I purchased these rainbow skull beads to make progress keepers because they had different colors in them. I have purchased these beads before. I actually made myself a set of wine charms out of them so that you can figure out which color is yours so you don't get your drink mixed up at a party. Not that I have thrown any parties in recent times, but I'm ready. I have them now. But I thought these would make good progress keepers because I could A, make a whole bunch of them, and B, I could match it to the color of the project since there are so many different colors in there. I'm excited to make those. What else can I tell you about this week? I think that was it for all of my major updates. Coming soon, you can expect some Faire crochet content. Actually, I'll show you the yarn that I'm using for that. You'll see this in the next video, but I'll show you anyway. I have a whole bunch of the Lion Brand Comfy Cotton Blend in the color Stained Glass. I wanted to make like a beach cardigan out of this, and none of the patterns that I was looking at worked well with this yarn because it's so multicolored that it was really hard to see the stitches. So any pretty lace stitches got totally lost in this. So I've been looking for a while for patterns I can make that have more basic stitches so that you can just look at the color of the yarn. So I decided that I'm going to make some Faire things with them. Hopefully a corset or vest, like somewhere in between the two, to wear with my other costume pieces. And maybe if I'm feeling really ambitious, a bag that I can put on a belt to keep all the important stuff, since Faire costumes usually don't have pockets. They should. Historically speaking, they should, but a lot of them don't. So I'm going to be using this up on those projects, which will be really exciting. I think I mentioned this in the last one, but I am super excited for Faire season again. The Faire by me has already opened, I think 2 weekends ago, if not last weekend. And I've been dying to go, but my groups of friends who want to go all wanted to go for dates in August. So I've got a ways to go before I can actually be there and experiencing everything. But I'm very, very excited to go. Hopefully I can make a whole bunch of projects for that in the next couple weeks. I've been looking for a book series that's a little bit more Faire inspired, or either takes place in that time period or is the like high fantasy type stuff, but I'm really having trouble finding one that I still like. I found that a lot of the adult fantasy books are either like have way too much world building to the point of where I don't know what's going on anymore, or they have themes in them that are not what I'm looking for when I'm reading. If you've read A Court of Thorns and Roses, like that's what I'm talking about. I don't need that in my fantasy books, especially because I tend to listen to audiobooks, so that means it's playing out loud. So if you have any recommendations, drop them below. Right now I'm listening to Caraval, and I don't remember the author's name, so I'll put it in the description. Really liking that one so far, but that almost has more of a like circus theme to it, although the time period is probably sort of right, even though it's a fictional universe, so they're not real countries. But it seems to be inspired from sort of the right time frame, but has more of a like traveling circus mystery fantasy theme going on with it. I did just start actually reading a graphic novel that I originally got from a little library because I wanted to add it to my classroom library, which I now don't have because I'm not a teacher anymore. but it's called All's Fair in Middle School, and it's a graphic novel about a 6th grader whose parents work for the Renaissance Fair. So far it is very, very cute and I love it. So that definitely is like getting me into Ren Fair vibes, even though it's a book meant for kids. But if you have any recommendations of like good Ren Fair or high fantasy books, drop them in the comments below because I would love some more recommendations, especially now that I got my library card fixed so I can check out audiobooks and ebooks on my phone, which is very convenient. I think that's going to be it for today's podcast. Another one that's a little bit shorter. I need to like slow down and talk about more stuff in podcasts so that they don't go so fast. But that's all I've got for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any comments or questions, leave them below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone!